Like, why didn't I think about this before? Why has this never been mentioned? I don't know. Like, how come it hasn't been on every baking channel on YouTube? How come people aren't doing this? I have no idea. Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and today we're tackling the sourdough discard problem. Oh yes, it's a problem. I don't know about you, but when I do my sourdough and I have to throw away sourdough, I get a little weepy because I know that that sourdough could make a good bread, but today I don't have time to do bread. So man, what do we do with that extra sourdough? Well, my friend Barbara came over the other day to get some of my discard, and she said, hey, have you ever tried to dry your sourdough? And I was like, say what? Yeah, dry your sourdough, like dehydrate it. And I thought, well, I have a dehydrator, I could do that. So I went to Google and I found out you don't even need a dehydrator. It will dry out on its own. So I thought I would show you my adventure in dehydrating sourdough starter and seeing if I can rehydrate it too. So are you ready for this adventure? I know I am, because I have a lot of sourdough discard, and these recipes say that this dried sourdough will last indefinitely. Have we solved the problem of sourdough discard? I don't know. I don't know, but we're gonna find out if we did. All right, let's get to this adventure. Okay, so this is pretty cut and dry. I can't believe that no one talks about this. This was the first time I'd ever heard it, and literally if this works, I will be so relieved, because I really hate throwing away that much sourdough starter every time. And if there's only so much coffee cake and pumpkin bread and other things that you can make with it, I don't want to be baking all of the day. But if this works, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm not going to dehydrate sourdough every single day of the week, but the potential is there. Trust me, it's there. So here I have some sourdough starter that was fed a couple days ago, and then before I threw it away, I went ahead and I stuck it in the refrigerator. And that was 2 days ago. It still smells amazing. So all we're going to do is we are going to dump our sourdough starter on our prepared tray. Now I'm using a silicone baking sheet. You can use parchment, but be aware that that parchment holds on to some of that moisture, and it doesn't necessarily work all the time, is what I've read. So I have my baking sheet, my silicone, and that's it. So we're just going to spread our sourdough starter on this baking sheet in the thinnest layer that we can get. So what you do is you spread it all out, and then you leave it in a cool place for 24 to 48 hours until it dries completely. So I stuck it in my oven because I knew I wouldn't be using my oven. Because if you're using your oven and you accidentally bake it, well then I think you'll kill it. But I have not peeked at it yet. So I don't know if it's worked. I don't know if it needs more time. I know nothing. I just got this stuff out and I thought, you know what? We're gonna try this. We're gonna see how it does, how it goes, what it does, if this is valid. But there were plenty of recipes, well, I say recipes, but directions on how to do this on the internet, so it must work. So this is really fantastic. Now, you want to get it as thin and even as possible, because the other thing that I read is that some of it will dry and some of it won't. And then you'll have to just pick off the dry stuff and then leave the other stuff to continue to dry. It should only take, though, about 48 hours total to dry in a cool place. So, you ready to see the results? I'm ready to see these results. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. That looks very interesting. So, remember me just saying that if it's thicker, it would not dry. Well, obviously that was much thicker right there than everything else. And the directions say that you can just pick it up. Oh yeah, Wow, it doesn't feel like it's all the way dry. There's still a little bit of moisture at the bottom. And as you can see, that non-dry spot right there will have to be dealt with. So what we're gonna do is we're going to turn it over because it doesn't quite feel like it's dry enough yet. So I'm gonna break these into pieces and set them on the tray. Wow, it smells so good. It smells just like sourdough. Well, obviously it is sourdough. So I'm gonna turn these over. Whoops, I didn't turn that one over. I'm gonna turn these over and see if I can get the rest of them to dry out, because it feels, the edges feel dry, but there's still a little bit of moisture left, so I'll probably have to go for the 48 hours. Now, this starter here that I'm peeling off right now was 100% hydration, whereas this one is only 75% hydration. So I have a feeling that this one will be done in 24 hours, and the reason why this one's not done in 24 hours is because it was a really wet starter, but I needed a wet starter for what I was doing for this set of starters, because I actually have 2 starters going on my counter right now. One for my really wet recipes and then one for sourdough bread. That is pretty fantastic. And I'll leave this one that's not quite dry yet. I'll just leave it right there and see if it will continue to dry out. And I'm sure it will, because it is pretty dry. It's just not all the way dry. There's actually still some moisture sitting on the top of that one right there. So we'll just spread these out as best as we can so they'll dry for another 24 hours. So I'm gonna take some of this that's already dried and break it up. And then I'm gonna try rehydrating this and seeing if it turns into sourdough. Now, what I read said that when you're rehydrating this sourdough to restart your sourdough starter, you actually need to feed it for several days to get it really active again. But this will work, and it has the perfect sour smell for sourdough smart starter. Okay, I just reread my directions, and they actually want you to measure out your crispy bits. So let me tear my machine here, and we want 14 grams or half an ounce of starter. So that's quite a bit of starter. Let's see. And maybe we'll half it. And I'm following Baking Sense's directions here. So baking-sense.com. And now we are gonna add half an ounce of water. Now, not just any water, warm water. So let me go to my water, and it is 28 grams of water. So that should be pretty easy. All right, so we're gonna go with 14 grams of warm water. Now it says we are just supposed to make sure it's all under the water, and we are gonna cover and leave there for about 4 hours, and I'll come back and show you the results and what to do next. Okay, it's been 4 hours, and now we have to check out the results. All right, well, as you can see here, the starter has kind of melted into that water. That is exactly what you want to see. So now the directions say that we are to feed it like you would feed it normally before you're going to make bread. Okay, so we are gonna put in 7 grams of warm water, which is about half an ounce. And we are gonna put 14 ounces of flour, whatever you would normally feed your starter with. All right, and now we are just going to give it a good stir. Looks like sourdough starter to me. Now you need to wait for another 4 hours, wait for this to rise to its double its size, and then you know that it's active and ready to go for any recipe that you want to use it for. Now, if for some reason it doesn't rise, it may need an extra feeding or two. So you would discard half and then feed it normally, wait for the 4 hours, and then feed it again and wait and see if it rises. If for some reason it doesn't rise, maybe there was a problem with your original starter. Maybe you let it get too unfed before you dehydrated it, but this should work phenomenally for your sourdough recipe. I also wanted to show you a little interesting little thing. I wanted to show you the 2 starters. So before we see that one, don't peek. This is the one that I put inside my oven to dry for 24 hours. Well, in the last 4 hours, I just left it out with the other one on the table. And I'm not sure why I did that, but I'm actually glad that I did because it dried much, much faster than being in the closed oven. I mean, there's one really wet spot, but for the most part, these are almost completely dry and ready to go. So if you're going to dry your, dry it in the oven, in an off oven, like put something in the oven so that the air can circulate and air can escape, because I think that's why that didn't dry as quickly. And the reason I think that is because check out the one we just did 4 hours ago. Look at this. Can you believe it? We already have some completely dry. I mean, I know this one was a little higher hydration, but this one is drying at a way faster rate than this one did. Now, how do we store this starter? Well, I am so glad that you asked. Let me get this over on my counter because I'm pretty sure that's going to double perfectly because it already looks really healthy. And now we have a clean, sanitized jar and a lid. And what we will do is we will take the ones that are completely dried and we are going to crumble it into a jar. And then once we have all of that in there, we're going to seal it up and this stuff will keep forever. If you have the little silica packets, you can actually put a silica packet inside this jar to help soak up any extra liquid that you have. And silica packets come in everything. So just next time you have a silica packet, save it back, throw it in your jar, and then you have freshness and no moisture. But that's all you have to do to save this forever. So I am not discarding any starter for the rest of my days. I am going to dry it out like this, and then I will have starter saved in a jar. Like, why didn't I think about this before? Why has this never been mentioned before Barbara came over and mentioned it? I don't know. Like, how come it hasn't been on every baking channel on YouTube? How come people aren't doing this? I have no idea. If for some reason that doesn't rise in 4 hours, you're going to see a clip right here. But there's no clip.
Instead, you'll get a video to show you how it actually worked. Look at that. Look at all the bubbles. This is a happy, active starter.
I cannot even right now. Like, can you even imagine the potential? No more discard going to waste. That just makes me super excited. It's the little things. It's the little things in life right now that are making me super excited, and this is one of them. I hate wasting, and here we go. No more waste. All right, you guys. Well, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos several times a week, and I'm always looking for the next adventure. So if you have an idea for me, leave it in the comments below. I'm just so excited. All right, you guys. Until next time, we'll see ya. Bye.